Good evening. It is Monday, February 23rd. This is the Guilford, Connecticut Board of Education. We are meeting on Zoom tonight, given the extreme snowy and blizzardy weather that is occurring in Guilford tonight. Welcome to those of you who have joined us. This is our workshop meeting. We have two agendas on our meeting tonight. The first is the appointment of a new Adams Middle School principal. The candidate has joined us tonight. This is a candidate that has been brought forward by Dr. Freeman and the administration after a detailed interview process, which did include one of our colleagues, Ms. Jennifer Scoggin. And the other item tonight is an executive session for an update on litigation. When the board votes to go into executive session, we will be ending the live stream. When we come out of executive session, there's not going to be any further discussion. There will be no votes, and we will simply be adjourning. So that's our agenda tonight. Again, thank you for joining us and welcome to our workshop meeting. I do want to welcome Dr. Martinez, who is joining us tonight as the Adams Middle School principal candidate being brought forward. Given that we're on Zoom, I'm going to ask that we go around and just have board members introduce themselves. We would do this in the meeting as well. And I will start off. Dr. Martinez, again, welcome. My name is Katie Balistraci. I am the chair of the board. I've been on the board for 14 years and excited to learn about you tonight and get to know you a little bit. Dick, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi, I'm Dick Hirsch. I'm sixth year on the board. I'm secretary of the board and formerly a graduate of Boston University, same program you were in.
Go Terriers.
Kristen.
Hi, I'm Kristen Peck. I think I'm the only one on the board who actually has a kid at Adams. So I have an eighth grader. Well, he'll be a rising eighth grader next year, Hunter Peck. And I'm the vice chair of the board. I've been on for 6 years, so it's nice to meet you. And I also had used a chair to, I actually learned the hard way living in Charlestown that you're not supposed to move people's chairs after they shovel out their parking spots. Yeah.
We won't talk about that.
Good lesson.
John.
Dr. Martinez, hello. John Della Ventura, sixth year, just like Dick. I have two girls at Guilford Public Schools, both at the high school. Grace is a junior and Abigail's a sophomore. And I went to Northeastern, so I'm not going to say go Terrier, so I apologize.
That's all
right. Jen Baldwin.
Good evening, Jen Baldwin, and I'm just finishing up, I guess, my fourth year. I was just reelected to my second term on the Board of Ed. I have a recent graduate who's at Southern Connecticut right now and wanting to be a teacher, and my son is a sophomore.
Nice to meet you.
Arnold.
Good evening, Arnold Scretta. I've got twin daughters, Georgiana and Catherine, that are at Calvin Lee Elementary. They're in fourth grade, so they'll get to Adams eventually.
Right.
But I'm a UMass Amherst grad, so
okay.
go Minutemen.
Amy.
Hi, it's nice to meet you, Dr. Martinez. Amy Fenalosa. I was appointed to the board for about 18 months and then elected for the first time this fall. I have lived in Guilford now for 12 years, but had 10 years in Boston prior to that. I have two sons who are graduates of Guilford High School, and so I know the Boston area well, and I'm glad to meet you and learn more about you.
Thank you.
Ralph.
Hi, very nice to meet you. My name is Ralph Brooks. I similarly was appointed to the board for about a year and was just reelected, so I'm a relative newbie here. I have a third grader over at Lakes and a fifth grader over at Baldwin. So you'll be getting them
Great to
at some
meet you.
point, perhaps.
And Jen Scoggin.
Hi, Dr. Martinez. It's wonderful to see you again. I'm
Yes,
thrilled
likewise.
to have you here. And as I said earlier, I have a 10th grader at the high school, and I do have a rising 8th grader who you will meet at Adams.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thank you
Yeah.
everyone for inviting me. Great to be here.
Wonderful. And so I'm guessing, Dr. Freeman, that that Dr. Martinez has met Amity and Doug, though certainly, okay, I think we're all
Yes.
set there. Wonderful. So I am going to turn it over to you to introduce the candidate you're bringing forth tonight.
I appreciate that. Thank you to everybody, and thank you to everybody for making this reschedule or reformatting of the meeting work tonight. We are very excited to bring this candidate forward to introduce him to you tonight. As the board is aware, we have been conducting a nationwide search for the next principal at Adams Middle School. We posted nationally for this position. We received over 50 completed applications, and we fielded an incredibly competitive field. We had a number of experienced principals from Connecticut and beyond, actually up and down the East Coast for this search. Dr. Gerardo Martinez clearly rose through that pool to be the first choice of the two interview committees that he met. Dr. Martinez has been through 3 interviews, one that Mr. Hamill and I conducted, one that was conducted with a representative committee that included teachers, parents, and students from Adams Middle School, as well as representatives from the administrative team. He then participated in what we referred to as a performance interview that likewise included representatives of teachers from Adams Middle School and different members of the administrative team. Dr. Scoggins was part of the interview process. We were happy to have her participate. Dr. Martinez comes to us with degrees we've already heard from Boston University as well as from UMass Boston. He comes highly recommended. You have seen the letters of recommendation that he has. I also want you to know that I have conducted reference checks both with colleagues who know Dr. Martinez's work in the Boston area, as well as his direct supervisors in his current school district. And he comes to us, I believe, with 25 years of principal experience as we look to invite him to join the Guilford team. So I am really excited to introduce him here tonight to all of you so that you can engage in some conversation with him and to ask you to appoint Dr. Gerardo Martinez to be our next principal of Adams Middle School to be effective this July 1st. Dr. Balistraci, I'm happy to turn the candidate over to the board.
Thank you so much. So Dr. Martinez, we again are excited for the opportunity to get to engage with you tonight. You have, as you know, been through this interview process, but this is a chance for the board to get to know you a little bit and to ask you some questions as well. So I do want to give my colleagues the opportunity to do just that. I am going to kick it off with a question I think that a lot of us are going to be interested in, which is what has you interested in being part of our Guilford Public Schools community and being the principal of Adams Middle School?
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I'm honored and thrilled to be here this evening, especially with the kickoff by Dr. Freeman and the background of how challenging and competitive the pool was. I felt like I left a 15-minute talk session feeling like, oh, I didn't represent myself as best as I could. Same thing, you know, when I met with the representative team, oh God, I forgot to mention this, I forgot to mention that. But I'm thrilled to be here. And I will say one of the things I had mentioned to Dr. Freeman is that I'm also interviewing districts. It's not just that I'm applying to any school district. I'm looking for districts that are hugely committed to student achievement, but also that have done or are doing things that I feel match very well with my skill set. The first thing I noticed was the profile of a graduate. I had been intimately involved in the whole process through PBL Works, which became Battelle for Kids, and Ken K's work. And we had done a portrait of a graduate when we were in Wellesley, and that was such a powerful experience involving parents, involving students. And I remember all the focus groups and really like us kneeling down and having these conversations about even just wordsmithing, how we put it all together, what we believe in. And every time I went onto your website, I could see that this is not just a perfunctory task. You are deeply committed to developing each child in all those competencies that the community felt rose to the very top. So that's one thing I would share. I could also see, I know when I walked into that room for that second interview, the fact that you had 2 students there says to me that you are hugely committed to having students in leadership roles, which is something that I have done over the years and have continued to do, and I've done really well. If you can get students involved in any aspect of school life, you want to do that. And I remember meeting, I think it was Jonathan and Anastasia, and they actually brought my blood pressure down. I felt calm in the presence of the students. It was a friendly group, but just having them there just said so much about this community. And even just like reading your handbook and just doing just all the search and the way you represented the language used, it was authentic, it was deep, it was genuine, and I felt like that's where I want to work. And then when I met Dr. Freeman, I'm like, I want to work for him. I want to work for this community. So I hope that answers your question.
It certainly does. Thank you. I want to give my colleagues an opportunity here to ask some questions as well. Who would like to go next? Kristen, go ahead. Thank you.
Hi. I'm curious about your interest in this particular age group. I think that our Adams age category of being 7th and 8th graders is probably the most challenging in the district. We've joked around with Mr. Hamill that, you know, when he was at Baldwin, he still had them when they were kind of sweet and innocent, and then they turn into little wrecking balls sometimes when they get to Adams. So I'm curious to hear what your style will be like and how you expect to interact with the kids, and
Great question.
why in particular you wanted to take on this challenging age group.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about challenges. So my first middle school appointment was the Curley Middle School in Jamaica Plain, Boston. Almost 1,000 students, 6, 7, 8. The principal prior to me had been let go. And the teachers were picketing, the parents were picketing, students were picketing, and I had to walk through a picket line to get into the building. There was a man standing at the front door who was opening the door, and he asked me who I was. I told him I'm the principal of the school, and he's like, "God bless you, they're about to crucify you." So when I walked through that door of the Curley School, I had come in with 11 years of experience, both as a 7th and 8th grade English teacher and as and coming to a leadership program. I worked with Lee Title at UMass Boston. He was one of my references. And I knew that my strength was connections with kids. When I taught in Boston, I ran the Harvard Business School Saturday sports program for 5 years with 75 students. I gave up every Saturday for 5 years to bring students to the business school to engage in exercise, breakfast, and community building. I gave up every Thursday for 3 years as a middle school teacher at Boston College with a program called Invest in Kids to do tutoring and introduce students to the business students there and they taught them about the stock market. They created their own businesses. So you have to be crazy to be a middle school teacher, right? I went into it knowing that I can make a difference. When the Boston Globe wanted to take a picture of me and write an article about me at the Curley School, they wanted to take a picture with me in the main office. And I said, no, that's not where we want to be. Let's go to the schoolyard. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, that's where we want to be with the kids in the schoolyard. There were 900 and something kids getting ready to line up. And the photographer caught a picture of me with just surrounded by students, right? So that gives you a sense of what my style is. In the mix, getting to know students in classrooms, at morning arrival, in the cafeteria, wanting to know students. I see myself as, and again, the first couple of months is going to be about learning, understanding the culture of the school. But I want to know, what are the student government opportunities? What are the student leadership opportunities that exist? And I feel that once I'm in there and getting to know students, getting to know teachers, getting to know the culture of the school, students are going to see me as, just an adult who cares deeply about them, who's committed to understanding who they are and to creating structures that support them throughout the 2 years that they're there. Yes, the 7-8 is an interesting model. I went to a 7-8, interestingly, and I didn't think about this until after the whole interviewing process. I'm like, wait a minute, I went to a 7 and 8 school in New York, right? So I went to the David A. Stein Riverdale Junior High School, 141 in Riverdale. It was 7-8. And the one thing I remember was that we got to go outside for lunch, right? It's like they gave us a responsibility to go, leave, and come back. But I do remember just feeling like, okay, this is a short experience for me as a student, but I did feel a sense of connection with the small team that I was on. And I felt like I wanted it to last longer, right? I do remember feeling like, oh, I don't want to leave and go to 9th grade now. I just want to stay here. So one of the things I think is important is to, when we transition from 5-6, so working closely with my colleague at the 5-6 school, for me, it's not that you're going somewhere else. It's a continuation of what you are currently doing, right? We're one large community. We have one vision, one mission, and we want to make it feel seamless. So I'm really curious about what that looks like, and learn from my colleagues on what structures are in place, and if needed, maybe improve it. And the same thing on the other end, going to high school. So what does that look like? We want it to feel like, it's not like you just like you hop off a bus and now you're somewhere else. You want it to feel like you're still on the same bus when it comes to like the environment that's created within the school community. And I found it really interesting in your profile of a graduate. One of the things was attitude, because I remember mentioning this. I'm like, okay, so what kind of attitude are we talking about? And so obviously, I do feel that when we anchor our work in our vision and our mission, and we share that with students, and it becomes real, students realize, oh, this is not just something, a poster or a logo on our website. This is something that we live and breathe each day. I know that students, I understand that it's a time for students to develop. I had 2 students, 2 children that went to middle school, so I had to deal with them as middle school students at home, but also their sort of public facing personas, right? And I do know that this is an opportunity. I don't see it as a challenge. I see it as an opportunity. And I welcome it. And I'm thrilled that I'm here tonight. And I can't wait to start.
Great, wonderful. Who else would like to go next?
I'll go.
John, go ahead, thanks.
Dr. Martinez, we have 7 schools here in our district. Each one of them is unique based on leadership. And I'm wondering what a school under your leadership looks like. If I were to walk in the building, roam the halls, walk into a classroom, what defines your school, particularly to your leadership? Right.
So first, I want to say that Guilford is a very high-performing district. Adams is a very high-performing school. And this is not just about my school, it's about our school, right? So what's happening there is already high level. And my job is to come in and listen, learn. Stan Davis, who wrote the book, Schools Where Everyone Belongs, always says, figure out what you're doing well as a community and continue to do that, do more of that, right? And I do know that this community and this particular school at the Adams School, they've been leadership changes. And so one of the things that I think that I'm going to bring, again, it's about us as a community. It's not about me, right? If I'm showing up with my suitcases and opening up shop and say, okay, this is how it is, right? That's not leadership, right? It's about what I quote Thomas Giovanni in his work on stewardship. It's about serving the community and figuring out, so what is it that you need me as a leader to do to help you be your best as an educator, right? And that's one of my entry questions that I ask. But I will say that if you were to say to me, well, if you're there, you know, what are the remnants of your style, right? And I would say, I think Max Dupree talks about the importance of connecting your voice to your sort of touch in terms of your touch on the community. And, you know, I start the morning announcements every day because it creates a positive and uplifting message for the community. My presence in classes will create a sense of calm and a sense of welcome. It will be a school, and working for me will be about you know, leveraging your strengths and figuring out, like, so what is it that you bring to the community that's unique, that's special beyond what you're teaching, and how do we integrate that into the fabric of our work? I believe that strong leaders make teachers into leaders. My job is to make people better at what they do, to provide a sense of clarity about the work and the direction. So it's really hard to answer that question in terms of, it's not just about me just showing up and all of a sudden, boom, everything is different. It's not like that. And I feel that leaders that come in and think that they have a game plan and thrive on like power and authority fail because they're not attentive to the needs of the community. So for me to answer that question, I need some time with the community. I need some time with you, one-on-one interviews, so that I get a better sense of the mosaic of the Adams Middle School. And I can assure you that as those conversations develop, staff and parents and students will be guiding me the direction of where they feel the school needs to go. Right now, of course, I have lots of ideas. Right? I have lots of experience. Right, and there are lots of things that will come to mind quickly about, okay, we can strengthen this by having this. Right, but I want to be mindful of the fact that the school is high performing, and there's a lot that's already happening that's really, you know, high level. And my job is to celebrate that. I want to learn about the traditions. I want to learn about the culture, the way we do things here. Right, and once I'm there, you and I can have coffee and say, okay, I'm going to answer that question again with some real specifics.
Wonderful. I appreciate that.
Jen Baldwin, it looked like you might have had your hand up before.
I mean, just to follow, that's a nice segue, because my question was going to be, you know, Guilford is very different than Boston. And I'm sure I would like to hear how that you're anticipating, or if you've thought of any challenges that might bring or any excitement that might bring to you.
Yeah. So the last school, so I'm in Lexington right now, which is it's super high performing. We just got the National Blue Ribbon nominee award that the state bestowed on us, even though the federal government canceled the program. Wellesley Public Schools, super high performing as well. Brookline, super. I've been at very, very high performing districts and have been hugely successful. And so Guilford is another similar district. And I think that the ways that I have been able to work very closely with the parent community and be responsive to their needs, work closely with the PTO, design, come up with ideas and plans to improve the school culture and get kids involved. All of that will continue in Guilford. So the Boston it's where I lived. I taught in Boston and was a Boston principal years ago, but I have evolved and have worked in districts that are very similar to Guilford. And so I just wanted to clarify that piece. And I find that
yes, because unlike most of you guys, I don't have any connections to Boston.
Same.
So
Go ahead, Dick.
About 20 years ago, you co-authored a chapter in a book about assessment, using assessment data. It's now a world classic. About assessment, using assessment as a way of improving teaching and learning. Could you say something about, in general, how you approach that and how you might use it here?
So excellent. So So I was responsible for being on that first team that wrote the first edition of DataWise. What I just flashed up here is the third edition, which just came out recently. And so I'm not just a practitioner in terms of using assessment. We actually produced a book that is used worldwide. When the book did come out, I taught at the Summer Institute for 2 consecutive summers. And a lot of the case studies in the book came from real life examples of the work that I had done when I was in Boston. What's important about this? Teachers nowadays are savvy with data. I was working in the day where I was actually creating my own Excel spreadsheets and creating my own charts. So when you look at the first edition, there's sort of hands-on work on how to actually do that work. And I remember teaching that at the Summer Institute. All that is done for you nowadays. Data is just produced for you, and it's much easier to get into the hands of practitioners. The work really, and this is what I bring to Guilford, it's not so much about becoming data savvy. It's about creating a system of thinking about data, right? The book is broken up into 3 large chunks. The first one, preparing for the work. The second one is inquiring, and that's where you dig deep into the data, asking questions, and stopping us as educators from going so quickly to the act phase, which is the last portion of the work. We are, as school employees and working in this day and age, we're making decisions really quickly. What's really powerful about the work that we produced as a team is that it slows the process down to allow us to actually figure out, are we asking the right questions, right? Do we have the right data? Data begets data, right? So when we look at data sets, sometimes it's like, we're not looking at the right data. This is what we need. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to tease out and assess is, are we doing everything that we need to be doing to support students? And how do we leverage data to actually tell us a story? How do we know what they know? And so one of the things that, to answer your question directly, is creating a system for us to be thinking as a team, right? And slowing down the process and being more methodical about the work that we're doing and looking at student progress. Hope that answers your question.
It does.
Who else would like to ask Dr. Martinez a question? Go ahead, Amy.
Thank you. I appreciated how eloquently you spoke about really investing yourself in the lives of the students and bringing them out into the community and involving them, whether it's with sports at HBS or with the Boston community in other ways. And I'd love to hear a little bit about your ideas for integrating the community at Adams, whether it is taking kids out or bringing community members in, and how you might continue that type of work in this community in Guilford.
Right. And so that's part of my entry work, is sort of to do a community scan and figure out what are the resources, who are we aligned with, who are we partnering with. I know Dr. Freeman talked about UConn, talked about some contacts at Yale. And I think that the answer to your question will become clearer once I am in the community, getting to know people, but I'm always looking for opportunities to involve community in the school, whether it's, creating programs, and that includes parents as well. For instance, we had in 7th and 8th grade, we wanted to improve students' financial literacy beyond what they were learning in math. And we reached out to families to ask, is there anyone in the financial field that would be willing to come in and do maybe 5 or 6 sessions with 7th and 8th grade students to teach them about financial literacy. And we had lots of parents that came in. We met, we put together a little sort of like mini lessons, and the kids loved it, right? And of course, it's going to take a little time to just knock on doors and just get a better sense of who's out there. But I guarantee you, we will have partnerships, and we will connect and use the resources in the community to improve the school. Just to give you another example, you've seen this on the resume, but it was just a casual conversation with a few folks in our community who were really interested in landscaping and creating a pollinator garden at our school. And it tied very nicely with some of our science units. And we wrote a grant and we got students out there. And now all the schools have a pollinator garden. And most people don't know that we have numerous species of bees that are near extinction, right? And the pollinator gardens are hugely responsible for helping some populations of bees thrive. The other thing I'll share, the hydroponic towers that we have been working with. It was a casual conversation with a group of parents, a few people, food service saying, hey, could we pilot? I'm like, I don't know anything about hydroponics, right? But one of the things you'll see is that we instituted passion projects for students in lieu of homework. And we ask students to sort of link to something that you really want to learn or something that you know about, but you want to take it to the next step. And so I lived that as well. So I said, I'm going to take this on as a passion project. So we purchased a hydroponic tower, and I had the students assemble it. I got a group of students. I said, look, I don't know how to put this together. They watched videos, they did it all. And then we stepped back and I said, how did you figure this out? Well, how did you communicate? How did you problem solve? Right? This is what I saw. So every opportunity that I have to bring something new and exciting to the school always involves students. Now every school in my current community has a hydroponic tower. The high school has 5. The middle schools have 2. And I'm the go-to person. And they view me as the expert. And I never planted anything in my life. But yes, I am an expert now in hydroponics. But that's another example of something that came from the community. I guarantee you, at the end of my first year and the second year, you and I will be having conversations about things that are happening at Adams that come from these interactions and these community partnerships.
Great. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have a
Go
second
ahead,
question.
Arnold.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Arnold, go ahead.
All right. I guess kind of twofold. First of all, I guess a simple question, kind of why are you leaving your current post? And I see a fairly glowing letter of recommendation from your current superintendent. We're happy, obviously, their loss, our gain. But just wondering off the cuff. But also, I know that you're obviously very analytical, and I'm wondering kind of what your benchmarks will be to determine that your first year or your first 3 years, et cetera, will be a success. Like how will you judge yourself essentially in this new role?
Right. Excellent. Yeah. So my wife is from Glastonbury. My family is from New York. And we feel that this is a time for us to move closer to our respective families. Secondly, my dad was diagnosed with colon cancer, and he's about to start chemotherapy for the next 6 months. So it was very clear for us that moving closer to our respective families would be good for us and for the kids, but also for me and being closer to my dad. So really, it's just life happens, right? And we're happy to be moving in this direction. In terms of the metrics, there will be more detailed metrics as I ease my way into the role. But at the end of the day, for the first year, and I know we have survey data that we use to get a sense of how the climate of the school, how kids are feeling, how staff are feeling. That's a very important metric under my work, under our leadership. Are people feeling that there is a sense of direction? Are people feeling that they're part of the decision-making process? People feeling that there's transparency in decision-making? These are all very important things that I know are very important to the staff at Adams. And to build trust happens through action and to meeting people's needs. To people feel that issues that need to be resolved are resolved in a way that is a win-win for all in the community. Of course, I didn't start with testing data on purpose, right? Because I'm also putting my parent hat on. Are kids happy to be in school? Are kids feeling a sense of connection at school? Are kids feeling that the adults know them and care about them? That's very, very important. Early in my career, and this has continued throughout, and this is not on my resume, I worked with Dr. Gil Noem at Harvard. He was a psychiatrist at McLean. He started the risk and prevention program at Harvard. I was his study class. He sent master's level clinicians to work with my students, and that created the Rally program around risk and prevention. And the data spoke very clearly about the power of a personal connection between students and adults at school. And so it's really important to me that we have a very strong mental health team that allows us to meet regularly to look at the climate of the school and how kids are feeling. Are they connected? Are they feeling stressed about schoolwork? Are they feeling heard and seen? And that's an important indicator. Our kids need to be met. Do families feel that their kids want to go to school and feel a sense of connection with their teams? I could tell that just by looking at the website that they're really tight teams at the school. And yes, at the end of the day, when we filled out the application for the National Blue Ribbon School, and we were asked about all the other things that make the school a very special place, it was all non-academic, right? And yet, what gets you on the list is academics. All right, are we closing the gap? Are we achieving at high levels? And of course, we want to look at very closely at the testing data, but I'm curious to know, what are the internal benchmark assessments that are being used or need to be in place so that we can be really methodical and use this process, right, the data-wise process, to track. It's not about the end of the year assessment. It's about unit tests, right? It's about projects that the kids are working on, about final exams. Like, all of that needs to rise to the top in terms of, and I mentioned this at one of the interview sessions, when I went to Austin, Texas for the PBL conference. I was amazed at one of the schools that converted the whole idea of F, meaning failure, to F should be find another way to help student learn difficult concepts, find another way to help that student be able to express himself or demonstrate learning. And so I'll be looking very closely at grades with teacher teams. Who are we concerned about? Right? Who needs to be accelerated? And making sure that we have a laser-eye focus on ensuring success for all students.
Thank you. And good luck to your dad and obviously to you too.
Thank you.
Dick, were you going to ask another question?
I was, but others may have questions that haven't spoken yet.
Any others? All right, Dick, go ahead.
So you're a very experienced principal. I mean, more than one would see in a normal range of candidates, and all successfully. On top of which, you've got a doctor's degree, so you've got academic credentials as well. The typical advancement process would be moving you out of a principalship into a higher administrative role. And yet you're in some sense moving horizontally. I understand the reason you gave to Arnold's question, which is perfectly valid. But I want to make sure we keep you for 5 or 8 years, so that what is it about being a principal that sort of has kept you where you are, as opposed to get out of it, as it were, as others do?
Sounds cliche, but it's a reality. I love the kids, and you do have me for an extended time. This is not. I've been in really high performing districts, and I have been finalist for assistant superintendent. And at the end of the day, it feels so much more rewarding to be in the presence of a school community and being close to kids. And I do get, I taught adjunct at BU taught a course on organizational analysis for Bahrain the last 2 years. I've welcomed entourages from Tsingtao, China, to learn about our school. I have students from Kazakhstan to come out. And so I do fulfill the need to be connected to academia, but also to support others in learning about the educational system in the US and the wonderful things that are happening in our schools, and hosting people from all over the world, and teaching for BU when I can. Of course, it's going to change because I'm going to be here in Connecticut, or there in Connecticut. But I will find my connections, and I will find ways to stay. I'm a busy person, and I love staying busy, and I want to give back in meaningful ways. And so I appreciate that question. I said to Dr. Freeman, I don't want your job.
Yeah, thank you. I just hope that there are lots of parents watching this tonight.
You know, I'm noting that it's 8:15. So I don't want to, Dr. Martinez, I don't want to keep you that much longer.
No, it's
So
okay. This is really important, and I love the questions that you're asking, and I hope that I will have the opportunity to meet with all of you individually as part of my entry plan, so we can really get a little deeper into what you understand and what you care about in this district, because my job is to make sure that I'm also responsive to all of you and the children that you are entrusting with us and the teachers each day.
Wonderful. So I do want to make sure that anyone else who has something to say has an opportunity. Anyone? All right, so I am going to then ask a kind of a closing question, and I feel like you touched upon it a little bit as you were answering some of the questions, but you know, you noted the portrait of a graduate. We've done a lot of work in this district on academic excellence. This is a district I think we're proud of. It doesn't mean there isn't room for improvement. It doesn't mean that we're and our administration is regularly focusing on those areas. But we're also well aware of the importance and really promote the importance of social emotional wellness. That's an important aspect. We believe that students need to be, as you talked about a little bit already, supported. Their persons need to be supported. They need to feel like they belong in this district. Can you speak a little bit to balancing those two important and what I would describe as interdependent aspects, academic excellence and social emotional wellness of our students?
Yeah, it's really interesting. As part of our doctoral program, we spent a lot of time talking about this particular question, and we looked at research that focus on schools that solely focus on the academics and tracking achievement of students, schools that were more heavy on the social emotional, tracking their student performance, and then schools that were able to merge the two. The reality for me is that this is hand in glove. It's not one or the other. It's not a zero-sum game, right? And the data and the research that we looked at of schools that were able to actually do both had much higher performance than the two former schools, right? Those that would just focus on academics and those that would just focus more on the social emotional. I had used the CASEL framework. I'm sure you're familiar with the CASEL framework years ago. And over the years have refined my work to a point where we actually gave students the framework and the language. I'm a huge believer in involving students in these deep adult conversations. So when we talk about social emotional learning, what exactly is that? So we introduced the wheel, right? These are the competencies, right? We actually ask students, rate yourself out of these 5 competencies, which ones are you really good at? Which ones do you feel like you need to improve, right? And we actually created a whole portfolio system that included the CASEL framework, where students actually said, over the course of the year, I've developed in my responsible decision-making, right? At the heart of middle school, right? And this is how, right? Or healthy friendships, and this is how. So I do believe that a lot of the work that I've done, and currently, we did some work with Suffolk University and restorative circle training. So all my staff is trained. We started with the first adopters, obviously, and that has created a deeper sense of connection, right? Because it's not just about saying hi to students in the morning, even though that's important. That's an important part of the connection. But it's also, we need to have a framework that allows students to be able to talk about the things that are on their mind in a way that doesn't distract from the academics, but actually enhances it, right? So it's not one or the other. It's both. I remember my mom would say, you're not a fully educated person unless you're a kind person, right? Unless you can care for others, right? Unless you can care for yourself, right? That's part of the education process. And I do think that my elementary experience actually lends a much deeper understanding of this work, because we're raising children from when they're really, really little, and everything is social emotional learning in the elementary. Every single interaction, right? Every single conversation, right? When you bring students together, and it's the same as we go up the grades. Sometimes we lose that sense of connection. I talked about my daughter feeling that her teachers didn't know her in middle school, that she was invisible, right? And she would just come and cry, and I would reach out to the teacher and like, oh no, there's no problem. Your daughter, she's doing fine. She's lovely. She works so hard. And I would say, well, she doesn't feel seen, right? She doesn't feel a sense of connection. Doesn't feel like you like her, right? But my daughter, and this is the same as for me as a student when I was in middle school, that sense of connection with an adult, she would do backflips and do absolutely anything, right? And work her hardest, right? And so it's not one or the other, and I'll find ways to involve the staff in these conversations. Sometimes it feels like middle school is a place where we shed the social emotional, right? It's actually a place where we need more of it.
Thank you.
I hope that answers your question.
It does. No, and I certainly look forward to learning more. We have I hope everyone has gotten the opportunity to ask questions. I know my colleague Jen Scoggin was part of the interview process, so I'm imagining she's had that opportunity as well. We do come to now the moment that we have the opportunity then to act on this requested appointment. So I am going to ask my colleagues or one of my colleagues to please make a motion to act on the appointment of Dr. Gerardo Martinez for the Adams Middle School principal position. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, please raise your hand saying aye.
Aye.
Well, that is a unanimous vote.
Thank you all very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm thrilled. I'm honored and humbled.
Congratulations, Gerardo.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to having you as part of our district. Look forward to talking to you more and learning from you and supporting you in this new role. Dr. Freeman, do you want to say anything before we give Dr. Martinez a chance to relax for the rest of the evening?
To the board, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you meeting the candidate, and I appreciate your unanimous vote and approving him. We know that he's going to be a wonderful addition. I hope the community had an opportunity to view this tonight. We will be sending a notification out to the community tomorrow, and we will include a link to this interview so that parents have an opportunity to meet Gerardo and hear his answer to these questions. And Gerardo, to you, we will be in touch. I am looking forward to working with you, and please keep an eye out for an email in the next 15 minutes from Doug that will include a hire letter for you so that you can sign that and get it back to us immediately.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the team. We're really excited to have you on board.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
And
you made my night.
I do want to note that Dr. Amity Goss, Mr. Doug Hamill are here. Before we go into an executive session and excuse people, I didn't know if either of you wanted to say something. You've obviously had plenty of opportunities in an interview, but you've joined us tonight, and I just want to give you that opportunity.
I'm good, Katie. Thank you.
Okay.
I will say to Dr. Martinez that the email is already in your inbox.
Terrific.
Christian, thank you.
And it'll be shortly followed by one from me. I can't wait to work with you. Nice to see you again.
Great. Thank you. Likewise.
Terrific. So
If I may, Dr. Balistraci, the one thing that I did want to add, I just wanted to note for the community that we had the opportunity to conduct the search as thoroughly as we did because of Dr. Wesley Simon, who has joined us and served in an interim capacity. I want to make sure that I publicly thank Dr. Simon for her work at Adams. She will continue with us through the end of the year and has already assured me that she's going to work closely with Dr. Martinez to prepare a transition. So again, I just want to thank Wesley for all of her time and all of her effort on behalf of the students, and I'm really looking forward to having the two work to introduce Dr. Martinez to the community as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. Really important acknowledgement. Very much appreciate it. All right. So what I'm going to be doing next then is I'm going to be asking for a vote to go into executive session. We're going to ask Dr. Freeman to join us in that executive session. This is for the purposes of an update on litigation. Dr. Martinez, thank you for joining us tonight. Mr. Hamlin and Dr. Goss, likewise, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we're going to wait a moment while we get support for that. And again, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night.